Coming up on Marlboro this week, Lieutenant Governor Kerry Healey makes it to Marlboro and gives some words of encouragement to Assabet students.
Looks like a new tire store may be moving into the area. We'll let you know why some city councilors are anything but excited.
Marlborough High School's girls softball kicked off their season last week. Jed Bornheimer will have more in sports on how this season is going to shape up.
Hello and welcome to Marlboro This Week. I'm Deirdre Andiorio.
And I'm Angelique Piccolo. Well, I don't know. First it was some snow and now some sun.
I know, we went from snow to rain to sun to back and forth. It's crazy.
You just never know with this weather.
I know.
But we'll have your 5-day forecast later in the show. But first, our top story this week. Assabet Valley students enrolled in a voluntary finance course are getting more than just help with their finances. This week they got recognition from the government. WMCT's Lesley Cannata was there. Take a look.
The rise in teenage credit card debt is startling. Studies show that only 26% of teens say their parents taught them how to handle money.
It's a widely known fact that many students graduate from high school with no idea what to do with their money.
And that's why the state is stepping in. Hi-Fi is a statewide voluntary high school program that teaches students about finances. And nearly 1 year after its implementation, Lieutenant Governor Kerry Healey is declaring it a success. She visited Assabet Valley Regional Technical High School on Monday, where she delivered a proclamation announcing the month of April as Youth Financial Literacy Month.
The kids here have done a great job, and the school was one of the ones that was a leader in getting this program in place. The teachers are very enthusiastic and supportive, and as was mentioned, everything that's done in this high school is very practical, and this is a practical curriculum to help kids live their lives and thrive.
There are nearly 50 students enrolled in financial courses here at Assabet, and faculty say the program can only grow from here.
We are expanding the program to include other aspects that are important to understand as the students grow and analyze financial information and maybe get involved with more heavy-duty financial decision-making, that they're going to have a solid base and be able to get much further.
400 teachers at 200 high schools in the state are already involved in this program. While it might seem like a lot, Healey says it could be more.
Over 35,000 children or seniors, high school seniors and juniors are participating in this financial literacy program. We're very proud of our state, but we think we could actually expand this program even further. Right now, only 25% of the kids in our state are getting access to this critical information. We'd like to expand the program.
And many students say they want access to this program.
I've learned a lot. I've learned how to save. I've learned about credit cards and debt and how to be financially secure in my future.
Saving, not spending, is something teachers stress to their students.
As a result of the course, I've created a lot of savers, and one of my students bought a CD as a result of the course. So I'm very excited that they took it to that step.
Administrators at Assabet say they expect enrollment in these finance courses to increase next year, and state officials are urging schools that are not yet teaching financial literacy to get involved. For WMCT, I'm Lesley Cannata.
Thanks, Leslie. Looks like Marlboro may be getting $10 million for capital spending in 2007. That's the dollar amount city councilors recommended at Monday's City Finance Committee.
I can tell you that it's not going to be $8.5 million or anything like that.
Well, then I guess I'll throw it on the table. Then I wouldn't be comfortable any more than a $10 million capital request be coming before me for next year. That's my limit.
Mayor Nancy Stevens will use this amount as a guide when she begins to write the fiscal budget for 2007. Stevens says $4 million will go towards upgrades to 2 sewer treatment plants. Councilors say road reconstruction, a new senior center, a library, school, and even preservation of open space are all projects that will need a lot of money. The full council will vote on the budget amount on Monday night.
If your energy bill are cleaning out your wallet, you might soon see some relief. That's all because a local energy consulting firm wants to pool Marlboro residents and small businesses to get the best energy rates. The Legislative and Legal Affairs Committee approved Colonial Power Group's municipal aggregation plan on Monday night. Now the city's legal department must give it the okay before councilors vote again on April 24th. The state's only other municipal aggregation plan is on the Cape in Martha's Vineyard, where residents in 21 cities pool together for the best rates.
A plan is underway to open a town fair tire on the property of the former Marlborough 123 Cinema, but some city officials are concerned that the business will create too much noise and disturb neighbors.
The noise is a big concern for the neighborhood.
Big concern that we have.
The building itself is an echo chamber.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there isn't some sound baffling material that could go on the walls that would help mitigate that.
The store's project manager says all bays are supposed to be closed during tire installation to reduce noise on the street. The store's attorney went to say that the noise from the store will not be any louder than the noise from the traffic on Route 20, but councilors were not completely satisfied with this information. They say they want more details on the exterior of the building. The Urban Affairs Committee will meet again on Tuesday at 7 p.m. If they approve the proposal, this will be the 66th Town Fair tire store.
Well, for several weeks, residents on Fay Court have been excited to see 2 rundown homes tore down. But we have some bad news. The organization that planned on tearing down these homes has changed their minds. Community Development Corp's attorney blames the decision on downfalls in the housing market. The organization had wanted to replace 2 two-family homes with a 4-condo complex.
Oh, some bad news for a Hudson man as well. 49-year-old Joseph Maypother of Hudson led police in a wild police chase Monday morning through Marlborough, Northborough, and Shrewsbury. But it was no ordinary police chase. Get this, they were going after a car on 3 wheels. Worcester police spotted the Jeep driving with a flat tire down and there was damage to the right side. Police signaled for Maypother to pull over, but instead of stepping on the brake, Maypother gave it the gas and his tire flew off. But that didn't stop him. He sped down Interstate 290, reaching speeds of 80 miles an hour. Worcester police notified state police, Marlborough and Hudson police, that the vehicle was traveling east toward Hudson. The chase finally came to an end in Maypother's driveway. Police had to remove the man from his car after he refused to get out. He's being charged with negligent driving, driving under the influence of alcohol, speeding, and failure to stay within the marked lanes.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll have a health study you might want to hear. And Jed Bornheimer will have more on sports. Stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Governor Mitt Romney. Finding a new job can be a challenging experience, but your local one-stop career center is here to help you every step of the way. Each center is staffed with dedicated counselors who can match your skills with the right jobs, all at no cost to you. Finding a job isn't easy, but we can help. One-stop career centers are working for Massachusetts.
For information, call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That's 1-877-US2-JOBS.
Welcome back to Marlboro This Week. A few weeks ago, WMCT brought you the story of a Marlboro 5th grader who won a nationwide essay. She had to wait until this week for her prize, though. Lesley Cannata has more.
For most students here at Marlborough Intermediate Elementary School, it was just another week. But for one 5th grader, it was off to Capitol Hill.
The goal of this program is to encourage more parents to be involved with their children's education and encourage more students to talk with their parents about what is happening at school and to ask for help with their studies.
That was Kaylee Paravicini reading an essay she wrote for class. Her teacher entered her essay on parental involvement into a nationwide contest. It was one of 2,500 entries, but little did she know it was a winner.
Well, 50 kids entered the contest. And although I have some very prolific writers, I didn't know if I would end up with a winner, but in fact we did.
Well, we got a phone call one night. I was already in bed, so my mom woke me up and said, "You gotta come hear this." And so we heard her say, I'm a grand prize winner, but we weren't quite sure yet if we were one of the 50 finalists or one of the 10 grand prize winners. And so the next day in City Kids, I told Romel, and she called the Box Stops for Education and asked them if I was either grand prize winner or finalist, and we found out that I was one of the grand prize winners.
And for part of her prize, she traveled to D.C. on Wednesday to meet with congressmen. The second half of her prize is $1,000 that will go to the school to implement her parental involvement plan.
We'd like to take the money and fully implement to the maximum possible ability Kaylee's plan.
Now, Kaylee and her mom returned from D.C. on Thursday, and according to them, it was a great trip. Reporting in Marlborough, Lesley Cannata.
Well, thanks, Leslie. We'll have more information about how their trip went next week. Well, some of the best and worst spellers were showcased in the field house at Marlborough High School. That actually happened Thursday night. The competition may have been heated, but it was all for a good cause. Take a look.
Aquanaut, balefire, cyclolysis. These were just a few of the words contestants at this year's 13th annual Scholar Bee were asked to spell, and the judges didn't cut any of them slack.
We're going to aggressively judge people. They're not going to get away with much.
State Representative Stephen LeDuc, Mayor Nancy Stevens, Jim Ash, and Rick Lombardi were judges for the evening. About 26 teams entered the competition, but it wasn't a monetary prize they were after. You see, the event was all in good fun. It was a fundraiser for scholarship money.
We always give scholarships out in June, and we give out approximately $20,000 worth of scholarships each year.
So how did the event unfold?
It's a spelling bee we have 26 teams, and they go up in rounds, they spell the words. It's a process of elimination, and then we have a final round, and we have winners. For spelling, we give prizes for best costume, best name, and for the winner of the spelling bee.
5 teams made it to the final round, but unlike past years, there was some family rivalry. Jay Lawfer was on the winning team, beating his own mother.
We definitely won for the first time. We were champions.
Yep.
Lost every other year, but we finally did.
The trio of seniors says they're throwing their hats in. They won't be back next year, but you can count on the Dollars for Scholars Spelling Bee coming back for years to come.
But let's now take a look at our Health Watch. An interesting study is released linking fluoride to bone cancer in boys. And while you might think your kids are safe from fluoridated water, think again. Marlboro is one of 137 cities and towns where fluoride is added to drinking water. Doctors found that boys who drink this water are 5 times more likely to develop a rare and deadly form of bone cancer. No link has been found between the fluoridated water and girls as of yet. In the past, the U.S. government has thought fluoridated drinking water is harmless and actually prevents tooth decay. But now, the Centers for Disease and Control is examining these new findings. As of right now, the CDC says drinking water is safe, and they won't be making any changes until further evidence can be found proving it to be dangerous.
Only a few weeks after the city of Marlborough faced a meningitis scare, officials say they're prepared for avian flu and smallpox outbreaks. But they still need your help. The city is asking for volunteers to dispense vaccines in case of an outbreak. Marlborough will have 4 dispensing sites, 1 at the middle school and also at 3 elementary schools. An estimated 500 to 600 people are needed. People are also needed for the city's medical reserve corps that'll help with dispensing at these sites, but would also be able to help in other disasters such as Hurricane Katrina. If you're interested in volunteering, you can call the Board of Health at 508-460-3751. Well, that's a look at your health headlines for now. Time to check in with Judd Bornheimer with sports.
The first week of games of the spring season have come and gone. However, the cold and damp weather forced officials to postpone a lot of the games. So unfortunately, there aren't any scores or highlights to report. However, we do have a great story for you. Now, last week, we introduced you to a baseball team that could surprise people with their speed and youth. Now, another team that is going to be depending on some underclassmen this season is the softball team. We had the pleasure of talking with Coach Kyle Westcott and his 3 captains to hear what we can really expect from this team and to ask the tough question of whether they may be able to end the team's 24-year playoff drought.
We're looking at a lot more aggressive this year. We're going to be running the base paths a lot more. We're going to be moving manufacturing runs a lot more this year. A lot more bunt and run techniques this year.
We're a young team. We have a lot of potential. We've always played together. We play in the winter. We play in the summer. So I think it's going to be a great season this year.
We actually returned 6 starters this year in the field, so defensively we look really good. This year I think defensively, third base, Michelle O'Malley, one of our senior captains, is going to have a great defensive year. Hitting-wise, we've really improved. Christina Faris out in left field, also a senior captain, and Kate Sullivan, a senior captain at catcher. They've really worked hard to be ready offensively. Our other one is our shortstop, Jessie Bryant. She's a freshman, second-year starter at shortstop for us. She does everything. She runs well, she bunts well, she hits well. And I think those four really will step up big for us this year.
I think that we're mostly a defensive team. We're getting better at hitting from the past years, and I think that we'll be a very competitive team this year, and we have a lot of potential. As long as we stay focused and keep our heads in every game, we'll definitely be a competitive team.
All the girls play both summer ball and in a winter league indoors in Auburn. It's been 24 years since Marlborough's made the playoffs. So they've worked very hard to make that a reality this year. We're not talking about any other year. They want it now. And I think they've got a really good shot at that. They've worked that hard for it.
In the past years, I think our problem's really been hitting and pitching because we've always had a strong defensive team. And I think this year we might pull through because Megan and Kim have done nothing but impress me so far. And we've been hitting all winter, like I said earlier, and I think we just might pull through this season.
Neshoba is always a good matchup with us. League play, we play them twice, so that's always a good one. And also the end of the year, Hudson. It's always one that we look to get that victory, that last win out of.
I think that with the combination of all the players that we have coming back from next year and all the new players with all their skills, our team will be in every game and will be definitely competitive.
Well, it sounds like that playoff drought may be in jeopardy, and we here at the Spotlight want to thank Coach Westcott for the access and wish the team luck this season in their quest for the postseason. Here's a look at the upcoming week's schedule. Well, that's it for Sports Spotlight this week. As always, we encourage our viewers to go cheer on your Panthers. If you can't make the games, check back here each and every week for scores and highlights. I'm Judd Bornheimer. Marlboro This Week will be back after this.
Are you looking to expand your workforce? Hi, I'm Governor Mitt Romney. Thousands of employers throughout Massachusetts have used our one-stop career centers to recruit and find new employees. Visit one of our centers to learn about tax credits and grants that help defray the cost of training new employees. Talk to an employer specialist. One-stop career centers are working for Massachusetts.
For information, call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That's 1-877-US2-JOBS.
Welcome back. Well, if you've been to the pump during the past few days, you might have noticed a jump in the prices. But you're not the only one. High gas rates are leaving many Marlboro residents shortchanged. And it's not just Marlboro gas prices that have taken a hike. The average price of gasoline jumped to 9 cents last week. Now drivers are paying about $2.59 a gallon. That's 37 cents more than last year.
Well, 2 teenage girls that were killed in a car accident last October are being remembered this weekend. A 5K road race will be held on Sunday to kick off the Murphy Sisters Foundation.
The road race is a 3.1-mile run and fitness walk. Some kids are just going to pledge and do it for fun. It's really just to get the memory of the girls out there and have the kids have a great day and the family celebrate, and just more of a fun day, big day for the family.
The race will begin at Algonquin Regional School in Northborough, where the girls went to school. About 300 people are expected at the race to remember the 15-year-old Megan and 17-year-old Shauna. The girls were killed when their car crashed into a utility pole back on October 13th. Police say the girls had been drinking. Now, the foundation set in their name will help educate people on safe driving. Quan's Martial Arts, Sully's, and Family House of Pizza, all in Marlboro, are sponsoring the event with the Marlborough High School hockey team and the Marlborough High School Boosters Club. A kids' fun run will begin at 10:30, and the road race will start at 11.
Also this weekend is the Metro West Animal Awareness Society's Adopt-a-thon. If you're in the market for a new cat, you can check out the event at the Pet Source in Marlboro on Saturday from 10 to 2 p.m.
They can expect to see like 4 or 5 different cats. Usually they're older cats. Some of them are fairly young, but not young kittens. And they've all been in foster homes. They've had all their shots. They've all been spayed and neutered. So they're ready to go to homes. They're all very well socialized. Some cats get along with other cats, some cats don't, and they'll let you know which cats, can get along with other cats if you have a cat already. But the people here, there's usually 4 or 5 of the volunteers that come with the cats. They're very knowledgeable about the cats and can give you all the background information on them.
If you missed this weekend's event, you'll have a second chance on May 6th at the same time and place.
Well, it looks like there's plenty going on this week that people should check out.
Definitely. I hope the weather holds up.
Exactly. Speaking of which, let's get right to it. Saturday, we can expect some more showers, and this rain will cool temperatures down to the low 30s. But then it'll warm up to about 50 in the afternoon. Clouds will clear to sunny skies with a high of 56 and a low of 33. Monday, it'll start to warm up just a bit with a high in the 60s, but then things will cool off in the evening to about 37. Tuesday afternoon, we'll have sunny skies and temperatures in the low 60s. Tuesday night, a low of about 41. Wednesday will be the last sunny day we'll have this week. Temperatures will cool off a few degrees, but not much. We can expect a high of about 58 degrees and a low of 44. Well, not too bad if you can get it. Can't complain.
At least it's not snow.
Exactly. We've already been through that once this month. We don't want to go there again.
I know. Well, that about wraps up this edition of Marlboro This Week. But before we go, we'd like to share with you a little piece of Marlboro's history in a segment we call 100 Years Ago This Week. This week we have an unusual story, but nonetheless true. On Wednesday, April 4th, 1906, John Rafferty went to Marlborough commissioners with an odd claim. He says he lost business selling milk after a county commissioner put one of his cows in quarantine. 4 months earlier, the cow was quarantined after another nearby cow was infected with rabies. For nearly 4 months, milk from this cow was said to have been thrown out as fast as it was taken. Rafferty says he not only lost about $70 worth of milk, but also lost his regular customers who had to go elsewhere for their milk. For his loss, Rafferty asked commissioners for a settlement.
Interesting stuff.
I wonder how much he got.
Little factoid most people don't know.
I wonder how much he got.
I know. Be interesting to find out. Maybe next week.
Maybe.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for Marlboro This Week. I'm Deirdre Andiorio.
And I'm Angelique Piccolo. See you next time.
Have a good night. Pain in the pump. Gas prices are on the rise and expected to top $3 a gallon.
But high gas prices won't be the only thing giving drivers trouble. We'll tell you what you need to know about driving on the Mass Pike.
And the city of Marlboro needs your help, how you can help prepare the city for the deadly bird flu.
Hello and welcome to Marlboro This Week. I'm Lesley Cannata.
And I'm Deirdre Andiorio. Our top story this week, flames torched a home on Huntington Avenue Tuesday morning. The 2-alarm fire left 4 people displaced, including 2 children. They were able to escape with a little bit of injury. The mother, Wendy Maynard, was taken to the hospital where she was treated for a burn to her hand. Fire Lieutenant Patrick Fortin was treated after he fell and hurt his arm. The Marlboro Fire Department and State Fire Marshal are investigating the cause of the fire. They say there's about 100,000.
You might want to set aside a little extra gas money the next couple of months. Costs are only headed in one direction, and that's up. The Energy Department says it expects the average price of regular gasoline to average $2.62 a gallon, and that's 25 cents more than last year. Some motorists are already reporting prices of $3 a gallon nationwide. And according to AAA, drivers aren't expected to cut back on mileage this summer, sending demands even higher.
Now, if you're planning on driving using the Pike anytime soon, you might want to keep an eye on your speedometer. That's because drivers are far more likely to get a speeding ticket driving on the Massachusetts Turnpike than any other highway in the state. The Boston Herald reports that nearly a third of the tickets given by the state police during the past 3 years were handed out on the Pike. Unlike other roads, the Pike has an entire state police troop assigned to it exclusively. The speed limit on the Pike is 65 miles an hour.
Marlboro residents may soon see changes on the city's roadways. A federal mandate requires existing street signs be replaced with larger ones by 2018. Marlboro officials have already added money to the 2007 budget to begin this task. The new signs will be 9 inches instead of 6, with 6-inch lettering instead of the 4-inch lettering used now.
Well, let's turn now to Northborough, where nearly 800 runners and walkers participated in last Sunday's 5K road race. It was the first Murphy Sisters road race and not likely to be the last. The event raised about $900 to go towards the Murphy Sisters Foundation. The foundation will use this money to educate people on safe driving. The nonprofit group is named after 15-year-old Megan and 17-year-old Shauna Murphy, who were killed last October when their car struck a utility pole. Erin Flynn of Marlboro is a family friend of the Murphys who helped put this race together.
My husband and I were invited to a meeting just after the accident in November, and the Murphys were trying to come up with a foundation, a bunch of events that would really honor their girls in a celebration of their life. So Michelle asked that we got involved with the road race, and we did.
Flynn is also helping organize other events that are scheduled for later this year, including a golf tournament in June.
Well, many of the runners who came out last weekend were just warming up for Marathon Monday, where runners of all ages, and we mean all ages, will be participating. I spoke with one participant. Take a look. Completing a marathon is no easy task, especially when you're 80 years old. But Alice Sullo shows us it's not impossible.
On Monday, I am doing something very awesome. I'm doing the Boston Marathon for the 6th time, and I can't wait.
And like past years, Salos is power walking the marathon to raise money. Alice's goal is to raise $50,000 that will benefit the Parmenter Health Center.
That's a big goal, and we're more than halfway there, and I'm hoping that the rest will come in between now and Monday, or even after Monday.
She is this incredible combination of both energy and passion, and you can see how passionate she is about hospice and the care that we strive to provide day in and day out, both in the home and in our hospice residents. And you combine that passion with her energy, and she's unstoppable.
She'll kick off this year's marathon in Hopkinton at 5 a.m. That's 6.5 hours before the runners begin.
I felt if she started a record of time, she'd probably beat the Kenyans in, even power walking.
Alice power walked her first marathon at the age of 70. Since then, she's had 2 major surgeries, but she's not letting anything slow her down.
So I started my 70th year. I will end on my 80th year. Who knows what will happen when I'm 90?
Nothing she ever says or does that surprises me.
In Wayland, Lesley Cannata, WMCT.
Wow, 80 years old. She's very inspiring.
Very energetic woman.
I bet.
Very. Well, the city of Marlborough needs your help. Only weeks after a meningitis scare, officials are trying to prepare for possible outbreaks of the avian flu and smallpox. Volunteers are needed to dispense vaccines in the case of an outbreak. Marlborough would have 4 dispensing sites, 1 at the middle school and also at the 3 elementary schools. An estimated 500 to 600 people are needed to volunteer. If you are interested in volunteering, you can call the Board of Health office at 508-460-3751.
An interesting study is being released linking fluoride to bone cancer in boys. And while you might think your kids are safe from fluorinated water, think again. Marlborough is one of 137 cities and towns where fluoride is added to the drinking water. Doctors found that boys who drink this water are 5 times more likely to develop a rare and deadly form of bone cancer. No link has been found between the fluorinated water and girls as of yet. In the past, the U.S. government has said fluorinated water is harmless and actually prevents tooth decay. But now Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are examining these new findings. As of now, the CDC says drinking water is safe and that they won't be making any changes until further evidence can be found proving it to be dangerous. Oh, a little something I didn't know.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we return, a police chase caught on tape.
And Judd Bornheimer will have the latest in all of this week's sports highlights right when we come back.
Hello, I'm Governor Mitt Romney. Finding a new job can be a challenging experience, but your local one-stop career center is here to help you every step of the way. Each center is staffed with dedicated counselors who can match your skills with the right jobs, all at no cost to you. Finding a job isn't easy, but we can help. One-stop career centers are working for Massachusetts.
For information, call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That's 1-877-US2-JOBS.
Welcome back. A former Marlborough man is sentenced to life in prison for first-degree murder. 33-year-old Dwayne Taylor murdered David Fleet in 2004 at a house party. It took the jury 4.5 hours over 3 days to reach their decision. And when they read it to the court, Taylor showed no sign of emotion. According to testimony, Taylor got into a fight with Fleet over allegations someone had stolen CDs and $50 from a bedroom. Taylor then left with friends, but returned with a gun and shot and killed Fleet. He could face life in prison with no chance of parole.
A drug dealer is behind bars this weekend. Police arrested 48-year-old Henry Sanchez Echeverry Wednesday night when they found 120 grams of cocaine inside of his car. They say this is the 5th arrest in the past 2 years that's believed to be part of a Colombian organization that's been trafficking drugs in the city. If convicted, Echeverry faces at least 10 years in prison. Well, 2 Marlboro teens are also in trouble with the law. Police arrested 2 17- and 16-year-old teens last weekend after they found 3 gym bags filled with stolen electronics in their homes. Radios, GPS units, iPods, hard drives, and radar detectors were all found in the bags. The 2 boys allegedly stole these items from vehicles parked in residential and business parking lots. Police say the 2 teens may have been linked to an additional arrest. 2 juveniles were arrested Wednesday night on East Main Street. One is being charged with receiving a stolen vehicle, the other unarmed burglary, larceny of a vehicle, receiving a stolen vehicle, and conspiracy.
Well, after a string of recent arrests, Mayor Nancy Stevens wants to make Marlboro a better place to live and to visit. She spoke to officials, city employees, and Commerce members Wednesday morning. In her 100 Days in Office speech, she talked about the 2010 initiative.
The Marlboro 2010 Initiative's mission statement surrounds development projects designed to improve the quality of life for city residents, enhancing Marlboro's perceived image, revitalizing and redeveloping neglected neighborhoods, and continued support for economic growth.
Stevens also spoke optimistically on projects such as the Old Central Fire Station renovations and the redevelopment of the old Fry Boot site. And regarding the search for a new superintendent, she is hopeful that someone will be hired by June.
Well, that's a look at your headlines for now. Judd Bornheimer has the latest in sports.
Thanks, ladies. Well, Marlboro, it was a busy week in the world of Panther sports, so here's a look at the scores and highlights from this week's games. The baseball team lost 2 of their three games this past week. Opening day starter Garrett Butt struck out 12, but gave up 5 hits and 5 runs in the second, as the Panthers lost 7-6 to Doherty. In their second game, the Panthers fell behind by 9 in the fourth and were unable to battle back, losing 9-0 to Milford. In the third game of the week, the Panthers played a defensive game, defeating Holy Name 3-1. The team knew their first few games would be tough, but things are looking up for the Boys of Summer going into league play. The softball team had a great start to their season, winning their first 2 games. Young pitcher Megan Montesian kept the Panthers close throughout the team's first game against Milford, and despite falling behind 3-0 early, the Lady Panthers came back and won 7-6. In the second game of the week, Holy Name gave the Panthers a run for their money, but the team held on for the 4-3 victory. Boys volleyball also had a great start to their season, winning all 3 of their games this past week. They defeated Doherty Monday 2-0 in their only home game of the week, then defeated Clinton Tuesday 3-1, and finally beat Leominster 3-0 Thursday to cap off a great week. Now both the girls and boys tennis teams dropped 2 of 3 this past week, with the results practically mirroring each other. Both teams lost to League Power Westboro 5-0 Monday, then lost to Gardner 4-1 Wednesday. Finally, both teams finished the week on a high note as the girls defeated Milford 5-0, with the boys defeating the Hawks 4-1. Well, now that you're updated on the week's goings on, here's a look at the upcoming week's schedule. Well, hopefully it will be another successful week for the teams of Marlborough High. Check back here next week for all the scores and highlights. Well, that will put a wrap on Sports Spotlight for this week. Remember to go out and cheer on your Panthers. I'm Judd Bornheimer. Marlboro This Week will be back after this.
Are you looking to expand your workforce? Hi, I'm Governor Mitt Romney. Thousands of employers throughout Massachusetts have used our one-stop career centers to recruit and find new employees. Visit one of our centers to learn about tax credits and grants that help defray the cost of training new employees. Talk to an employer specialist. One-stop career centers are working for Massachusetts.
For information, call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That's 1-877-US2-JOBS.
Well, spring is here finally, and that means one thing: spring cleaning. Those of you with the green thumb can help Marlboro clean up on April 29th. It's the city's 3rd annual Project Clean Sweep at Memorial Park.
This is the perfect opportunity for individuals, small or large groups, and corporate volunteers to show some pride in the city in which they live and work.
If for some reason you can't make it that day, it still gives you a good opportunity to go out and pick up trash around your neighborhood. Pick an area where you're comfortable and fill some bags of trash and leave them out for us to pick up later on. If you can't make it, please pitch in.
This is an exciting time for all of us. This was a very successful program last year, and we feel very strongly that we will far exceed the 500 volunteers and 6,000 pounds of trash, or 12,000 pounds of trash that we picked up last year.
Volunteers will begin cleaning at 9 a.m. on the 29th. Now, in case of rain, the event will be held on the next day. If you'd like to help out, you can contact your ward counselor at 508-460-3711.
Well, it's a little too early to predict how our weather will be for the Project Clean Sweep, but I can tell you how it's going to look this weekend and early next week. Saturday, partly cloudy with a high of 69. It will cool off in the evening to reach 45. Not too cold, though. Sunday looking similar, but just a little cooler. We'll see a high of 60 and a low of 39. Monday, pretty much the same as Sunday, but on Tuesday, we'll feel it cool off even more. We'll reach a high of 56 degrees and a low of 39. Wednesday, clouds clear overhead to mostly sunny skies. And with those sunny skies, we'll see a high of 65 with a low of 42 degrees.
Well, that about wraps things up for this edition of Marlboro This Week. But before we go, we'd like to share with you a little piece of Marlboro's history in a segment we like to call 100 Years Ago This Week. We're pretty sure most of you have been to the post office downtown, but what you probably don't know is that 100 years ago this week, a congressman presented a bill to the House asking for its construction. The bill proposed for the erection of a public building in the city that would be used for the United States Post Office. The cost could not exceed $100,000, and for fire safety, it would be built 40 feet away from nearby buildings and streets. Now, only 4 years earlier, the previous post office had burnt down, so these new fire safety precautions were taken into heavy consideration. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Marlboro This Week. Have a great weekend and a great holiday. I'm Deirdre Andiorio.
And I'm Lesley Cannata. See you next week.
A bomb scare at the Solomon Pond Mall. What tipped off police and what they found.
And a warning for anyone using contact solution, a fungal eye infection that could cause you to go blind is linked to a popular brand of solution.
And the rising cost of gas isn't the only thing giving local drivers trouble. We'll tell you what you need to know about driving on the Mass Pike. Hello everyone and welcome to Marlboro This Week. I'm Mike Hoy-Lukakis.
And I'm Angelique Piccolo. Our top story this week. A bomb scare at the Solomon Pond Mall on Thursday. Mall security alerted police at 5:30 p.m. after finding a written bomb threat in the men's bathroom. Marlboro police and fire crews searched the building but found nothing. The building was not evacuated. Police are still investigating the incident and do not have a suspect.
A brush fire scorched the land in front of a home on Hudson Drive on Tuesday. It took firefighters more than 2 hours to put out the fire. No one was injured, but about 40,000 square feet of land was left charred. Crews are still investigating the cause of that blaze.
And the redevelopment of the former Fry boot site is moving forward. Attorney General Thomas Reilly announced on Thursday that the city of Marlborough will not be liable for the construction of the land. Earlier this year, the land was found to be contaminated, but now the officials say it's been cleaned up and an 83-unit senior citizen assisted living facility will be developed. Mayor Nancy Stevens says it will likely be completed by the fall of 2007.
The school district isn't just relying on tax revenue for its funding anymore. This year, it's going to the web. EdNet is a program that will provide access to online technology and at the same time pull in some profits for local schools. For example, if a parent clicks on the school's sports page, they might see an advertisement for a sporting goods store like Sports Authority. And if they purchase something from this advertiser, part of the money from that purchase is going to go to the school. These ads are only going to be visible, though, to registered users, so that means students aren't going to be bombarded by ads. The school committee is going to discuss the program at a special meeting on Monday at 4 p.m.
And if you wear contact lenses, listen up. Bausch & Lomb's Renu with MoistureLoc contact solution has been pulled from the shelves. Doctors are trying to determine if the product is linked to a fungal infection that could cause blindness. There have been about 110 cases nationwide so far. The common link has been the solution. Symptoms of the infection include blurry vision, pain or redness, excessive discharge, and increased sensitivity to light. WMCT will continue to cover this story and will bring you an update on the investigation next week.
Unfortunately, Marlboro has been in step with the rest of the country when it comes to gas prices, which have reached a record high this year. According to AAA, the average price of regular gas jumped 10 cents from last week to $2.72 a gallon. A AAA spokesperson says that those prices could continue to climb unless crude oil prices drop. And if another major hurricane slams into the country, prices could exceed $3 a gallon, which is what they were last summer right after Hurricane Katrina.
Well, you might want to keep an eye on your speedometer next time you're driving on the Massachusetts Turnpike. That's because drivers are far more likely to get a speeding ticket driving on I-90 than any other highway in the state. The Boston Herald reports that nearly a third of the tickets given by state police during the past 3 years were handed out on the Pike. Unlike other roads, the Pike has an entire state police troop assigned to it exclusively. The speed limit on the Pike is 65 miles an hour.
And now on to some more somber local police news. The family of a former Marlboro police officer is mourning his death this week. 51-year-old Mike Farrell died on Saturday from a heart ailment while working in the state of Pennsylvania. Farrell was a U.S. Air Force veteran who leaves behind 5 children of his own, and he was also a foster parent to more than 200 different children over the years. And Angelique, all of those children are going to miss him greatly. It's an enormous loss for everyone involved.
It's very unfortunate. Well, the sport of lacrosse has also been in the news lately, but it's unfortunate for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that's right. That's been down at Duke University, though, in North Carolina. When we come back, though, Judd Bornheimer is going to have a look at Marlboro's own lacrosse team, which hasn't been in the news for all the wrong reasons. Stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Governor Mitt Romney. Finding a new job can be a challenging experience, but your local one-stop career center is here to help you every step of the way. Each center is staffed with dedicated counselors who can match your skills with the right jobs. all at no cost to you. Finding a job isn't easy, but we can help. One-stop career centers are working for Massachusetts.
For information, call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That's 1-877-US2-JOBS.
Welcome back to Marlboro This Week. Monday was a record-breaking day at the Boston Marathon for both a Kenyan man and a Wayland woman. She didn't beat a record-breaking time, but she sure did raise a lot of money. WMCT's Lesley Cannata has more.
Completing a marathon is no easy task, especially when you're 80 years old. But Alice Sullo shows us it's not impossible.
I am doing something very awesome. I'm doing the Boston Marathon for the 6th time, and I can't wait.
It may have been her 6th time, but it didn't slow her down. Like past years, Alice power walked the 26 miles to raise money for the Wayside hospice. Her goal, $50,000.
That's a big goal, and we're more than halfway there. And I'm hoping that the rest will come in between now and Monday, or even after Monday.
And the money is still coming in. 1 week after the marathon, Alice has raised $44,000 and is expected to reach her goal.
She is this incredible combination of both energy and passion, and you can see how passionate she is about hospice and the care that we strive to provide day in and day out, both in the home and in our hospice residence. And you combine that passion with her energy, and she's unstoppable.
She began her long walk in Hopkinton at 5 a.m. That's almost 7 hours before the runners took off.
I felt if she started the record of time, she'd probably beat the Kenyans in, even power walking.
Alice power walked her first marathon at the age of 70. Since then, she's had 2 major surgeries, but that's not stopping this woman.
So I started my 70th year. I will end on my 80th year. Who knows what will happen when I'm 90?
Nothing she ever says or does that surprises me.
In Wayland, Lesley Cannata, WMCT.
Thanks, Lesley. And Angelique, if any of us are doing anything like this once we reach the age of 80, we must be living pretty well.
I bet, a very inspirational story. The people at Wayside are probably very proud.
I'm sure they are, and the whole town of Marlborough is also proud of the Marlborough High School lacrosse team, and Judd Bornheimer has some more about them.
Hello again, Marlboro. Welcome back for another edition of Sports Spotlight. Well, due to the vacation week, only a few teams had games on the schedule. Overall, it was a tough week with baseball and softball teams combining for a 1-2 record. But without further ado, here's a look at this week's scores. The baseball team lost a tough one early in the week, 8-2 to Burncoat, and then followed up that game with a 10-2 win over Wachusett. The softball team lost their only game of the week with a tough loss to Burncoat, 10-0. Now, there's one sport that's making a lot of noise around the Marlborough High campus, and the teams have yet to play a varsity game. MHS added lacrosse to its long list of sports last year, and both the girls and boys teams have been playing JV-level games the past 2 years. But starting next year, the program will be a varsity-level squad, and excitement is high, as we found out when we stopped in the boys team this past week.
Well, last year was our first year as a team with JV and freshmen. The makeup of the JV team was, 26 players, and only 4 had ever played the sport. So we spent a lot of time working just on fundamentals. And this year we went back at that. Still a lot of fundamentals. We had more kids come out this year because of the freshmen that were last year moved up as sophomores. So we had to incorporate those kids into the team, and a little difference in the playing style. But
we're building up every game we play. We're trying to get better for next year. We're trying to make a statement to these other teams that we will be seeing as varsity teams, that we're for real and we're here to play. And we're going to try to play them the best we can this year. But most of all, we're looking at the younger guys too and seeing what they can do so we can have the best team for next year.
Next year is going to be a big year. We're trying to build up to it. We got a lot of younger kids stepping up who've been playing in youth. So we should be doing pretty good.
I have to say that the team is incredibly even-paced. I mean, offensively, we have some kids that have played for a couple of years. And the midfielders, for the most part, are fairly new kids. And defensively, we've had some kids that have played for a couple of years. Our goalie, team captain, Andy Holland has been in the net for us every single game. This year, John Callahan decided to back him up, which is kind of a testament to the group of kids that we have. In the 2 years we've been in the program, we've never had a situation where anybody's kind of looked over and said, well, I'm better than you, or, you know, they're a pretty tight group. We get together Sunday nights as a group at a different parent's house, have a spaghetti dinner before the games, try to bring some social aspect to the team. And it's worked out pretty well. The kids are pretty well focused, and, you know, for the most part, it's a great group of guys.
And what are some things that your team does particularly well that, you know, fans can look forward to for next year's team?
Our offense can work the ball around very well. Middies run fast. We're a strong team. Everyone's pretty strong and fast legs, so it's a fast-paced game.
Well, we got a real strong offense this year. Last year, we were all right, but you could tell, you know, we were a first-year program. This year, we look real experienced out there. The attack, you know, like Nick Ryan, Tony Thibodeau, Keith Yeoman, they're really pulling it together, and our defenses as well.
Coach Holland, who joined the team, you know, kind of in transition last year, halfway through the season, has taken over as bench coach. It gives me the opportunity to kind of focus on the flow of the game, but he has made a huge impact coming to the practices every day, and just gives the team a different perspective. Plus, my son Benjamin graduated from Landmark last year. He's coming out and helping us a little bit offensively and defensively with some new schemes that's allowed us to you know, pick up some different aspects of the game.
And what are some things that you really enjoy about the game of lacrosse?
Being able to hit people and not get in trouble for it.
Lacrosse is a great sport, and although Jason Gale may think differently, it has a lot more to it than just hitting people. We here at the Spotlight want to wish the teams luck as they wrap up their JV schedule and look towards next year to have a great first varsity season. Now, a busy week awaits the Panthers with plenty of games on the schedule. Here's a look at the week ahead. The tennis teams have 3 games this week. The boys are away at Neshoba and Quabbin and home against Burncoat, and the girls are home against Neshoba and Quabbin and away against Burncoat. Panther baseball has 3 games, all away. First Algonquin, Wednesday at Neshoba, and Thursday at Quabbin. The softball team as well has 3 games this week, all at 3:30. Algonquin Monday, Neshoba Wednesday, and Quabbin Thursday. Well, that will put an end to this week's Spotlight. Remember to go out and cheer on your Panthers. I'm Judd Bornheimer. Marlboro This Week will be back after this.
Are you looking to expand your workforce? Hi, I'm Governor Mitt Romney. Thousands of employers throughout Massachusetts have used our one-stop career centers to recruit and find new employees. Visit one of our centers to learn about tax credits and grants that help defray the cost of training new employees. Talk to an employer specialist. One-stop career centers are working for Massachusetts.
For information, call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That's 1-877-US2-JOBS.
On April 18, 1906, an earthquake ruptured the West Coast. In fact, the quake is now regarded as one of the most significant earthquakes of all time. About 700 people were killed, thousands left homeless. A plea for help was made across the entire country. But on April 21st, it was reported that Marlborough was the only city in Massachusetts not to offer any relief. Newspaper articles reported that this lack of response puts the city in a poor light and that no resident should be proud. Once the news hit the city, officials kicked into action and called for a meeting. 1 week later, the city was able to collect thousands of dollars for donations.
And welcome back to Marlboro This Week. Some exciting news on the political front. A former Marlboro resident has joined the race for governor. 44-year-old Grace Ross is in the Green Rainbow Party candidate. Lesley Cannata sat down with her for an inside look.
This is my home turf. It was kind of exciting to be invited to be on the show. It's like, oh yeah, you know, I know all these little streets and roads. Sisters Together Ending Poverty, which was my most recent job, that's still going on and doing great work, like runs a van service that helps thousands of people a year get to jobs and childcare and medical appointments and stuff like that. So every little street of Marlboro on the map, I've been there. So it's nice.
Now, locally speaking, what kind of change would you like to see in Marlboro?
if you
Well,
became governor?
Marlborough, I love Marlborough. It's a great city. I like the ethic of Marlborough. It's very working class and real, and people are genuine with each other when they run into each other on the street. And I think that that's a really good model of the kind of world I think we want to live in. Marlborough struggles with a lot of the things that communities in the state struggle with, and it's part of the reason why I wanted to work on state policy, because I think that a community like Marlborough is getting a lot less local funding from the state. All the cities and towns are struggling with that. Marlborough isn't, renovating housing that's existing is something we really need to have a really good housing stock, but it's expensive and rents keep going up. So I think we really need to look at policies that make sure that everybody has affordable housing. And Marlborough is running into a lot of the same problems a lot of other communities are, where there's not that much open space left to build in. And if we build in that open space, then we're creating this kind of urban sprawl that doesn't give people in the community green space, and it makes our transportation expenses higher, our impact on the environment in terms of carbon monoxide and greenhouse gases is higher because people are more spread out. And it isn't actually a good way to build community. You know, communities are best when you can walk down the street and get to your local corner store and buy your food. And part of what I'm calling for in terms of running is really looking at issues about, like, the state makes policy, it makes tax policy and financial policy that impacts huge choices that people make at a very local level about what kind of development to do, for instance, if they're building housing. Or we know that we need to do a whole transformation in how we use energy. Not just global warming, but a lot of other issues, whether it's war or whatever has to do with the fact that we're a really oil-based society. And the state has the power to make policies that would, like no interest loans for the schools to be rebuilt, but to be rebuilt in a way that conserves energy and is really a green kind of rehab of buildings. And we don't fund that. Instead we fund tax breaks for Walmarts, and everybody loves the Walmart here, but it's hurt business in local downtown Marlborough, where we might walk and see our neighbors.
Thanks, Leslie. Ross will need at least 3% of votes to make it on the ballot. She'll go on against Democratic candidates Chris Gabrieli, Deval Patrick, and Attorney General Tom Reilly. Lieutenant Governor Kerry Healey is the only Republican, and so far Christy Mihos is the only independent candidate in the running.
The arrival of spring means that it's time for some spring cleaning, and those of you that have a green thumb can help Marlboro clean up on Saturday, April 29th. That's going to be the city's third annual Project Clean Sweep at Memorial Park.
This is the perfect opportunity for individuals, small or large groups, and corporate volunteers to show some pride in the city in which they live and work.
If for some reason you can't make it that day, it still gives you a good opportunity to go out and pick up trash around your neighborhood. Pick an area where you're comfortable and fill some bags of trash and leave them out for us to pick up later on. If you can't make it, please pitch in.
This is an exciting time for all of us. This was a very successful program last year, and we feel very strongly that we will far exceed the 500 volunteers and 6,000 pounds of trash, or 12,000 pounds of trash that we picked up last year.
Once again, volunteers will begin cleaning at 9 a.m. on Saturday the 29th, and in case of rain, the event is going to be held the next day. If you want to help out, you can contact your ward counselor at 508-460-3711.
Well, I'm actually going to be there, so let's just hope the weather holds up.
Exactly. I certainly will hope that the weather holds up. I'm actually going to be in Texas, Angelique, at this time next week, but I'll be wishing from afar for some nice weather for Clean Sweep.
I know I will. Well, it might be too early to tell how next weekend's weather will hold up, but I can tell you the week is looking a little damp. Saturday, partly cloudy with a high of 54 and a low of 40. Sunday, we can expect to start seeing some rain clouds because unfortunately it will be a rainy day all day. Not too cold though, we'll hit a high of 54 and a low of 46. Monday, even more showers, but it will be a little warmer with a high of 64 and a low of 46. Tuesday, warming up to just under 70 degrees and showers most of the day, but they'll taper off in the evening to partly cloudy skies on Wednesday. Wednesday, we can expect a high of 58 and a low of 42.
And Angelique, it still sounds like reasonably nice spring weather, except for Sunday's rain all day. A little bit colder than the 70-plus degree temps we've been seeing this week, though.
A little bit of rain. I think we need it, though.
Certainly the flowers and everyone's plants outdoors could certainly use the rain. They're feeling a little bit parched.
I bet.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for joining us for this edition of Marlboro This Week. I'm Mike Hoey-Lutakis.
And I'm Angelique Piccolo. See you next time.
Goodbye.
Are gas prices burning a hole in your pocket? Why relief may not be in the near future.
A warning for anyone using contact solution. A fungal eye infection that could cause you to go blind is linked to a popular blame solution.
And why your drinking water may be looking a little cloudy.
Hello and welcome to Marlboro This Week. I'm Lesley Cannata.
And I'm Deirdre Andiorio. If you see any discoloration in your water during the next couple of weeks, don't panic. The Department of Public Works is doing some spring cleaning of the city's water pipes. The discoloration is caused when sediments in the pipes are stirred up. Officials say the water is safe to drink, and flushing all the city's pipes will take about a month.
Well, they're not the only ones doing some spring cleaning. It's the city's third annual Project Clean Sweep this weekend. The event is being held at Memorial Park, and the city needs your help.
This is the perfect opportunity for individuals, small or large groups, and corporate volunteers to show some pride in the city in which they live and work.
If for some reason you can't make it that day, it still gives you a good opportunity to go out and pick up trash around your neighborhood. Pick an area where you're comfortable and fill some bags of trash and leave them out for us to pick up later on. If you can't make it, please pitch in.
This is an exciting time for all of us. This was a very successful program last year, and we feel very strongly that we will far exceed the 500 volunteers and 6,000 pounds of trash, or 12,000 pounds of trash that we picked up last year.
Cleanup starts at 9 a.m. at Memorial Beach on Hosmer Street.
Now, it doesn't look like it's going to rain on Saturday, but if it does, a rain date will be held on Sunday.
That's right, and Angelique Piccolo will actually be there. So if you want to join her, make sure to bring your rakes, brooms, gloves, whatever you need.
Now, if you do wear contact lenses, we have a warning for you. Bausch & Lomb's Renu with MoistureLoc contact solution has been pulled from the shelves. Doctors are trying to determine if the product is linked to fungal infection that could cause blindness. There have been about 110 cases reported nationwide. Symptoms of the infection include blurry vision, pain and redness, excessive discharge, and increased sensitivity to light. WMCT will follow up on this story and give you updates as further reports become available.
Well, if you've been down Route 85 lately, you might have noticed a different look to the Citgo. That's because the station has replaced its old gas sign with a new digital one. The Citgo is just one of many stations in the state that is switching over to digital. Unfortunately, that might not be the only thing you've noticed at the pump. Gas prices have reached a record high this year. It's now costing drivers an average of $2.90 a gallon. That's 18 cents more than last week. And during the past few weeks, prices have steadily increased by about 10 cents a week. But they're still not as high as last summer's average high of $3.24 a gallon. A AAA spokesperson says prices could continue to climb unless crude oil rates drop. And if another major hurricane slams into the coast, prices could easily soar above $3 a gallon.
Well, 2 children are recovering this week after being injured in a double rollover accident on I-95 on Saturday night, and a Marlboro man is to blame. 21-year-old Ardondo Prudencio is facing charges including driving without a license. The accident happened when Prudencio tried to pass an SUV, but instead he struck a vehicle, causing it to roll over onto its roof into the left lane. Passengers in the SUV were not hurt, but Prudencio's car passengers in Prudencio's car weren't so lucky. A 12-year-old girl was trapped beneath the vehicle until rescuers were able to get to it. Police say she suffered from several broken bones. 3 other passengers in the other car were also taken to the hospital. The child's mother is listed in fair condition.
Marlboro police are conducting an investigation into who caused property damage at the intersection of Route 20 East and Wayside Inn Road. A vehicle struck a guardrail and fled the scene. Extensive damage was reported Saturday morning. Police are now looking into a license plate that was found at the scene.
A Marlboro man is acquitted of raping a 12-year-old girl in Marlboro back in 2002. 42-year-old Richard Schofield was found not guilty of multiple rape and assault charges last Friday, and while he's been cleared on those charges, he now faces charges of being arrested last month for cocaine and heroin distribution, conspiracy, and selling drugs at a local school zone. Well, we're going to take a quick break for right now, but when we return, we'll tell you why teachers are angry after Wednesday night's school committee meeting.
And Judge Bordenheimer will have a look at your sports spotlight. But now we'll leave you with a look at your 5-day forecasts.
I'm Governor Mitt Romney. Finding a new job can be a challenging experience, but your local one-stop career center is here to help you every step of the way. Each center is staffed with dedicated counselors who can match your skills with the right jobs, all at no cost to you. Finding a job isn't easy, but we can help. One-stop career centers are working for Massachusetts.
For information, call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That's 1-877-US2-JOBS.
Welcome to jail. It's not your typical lockup. In fact, jailbirds volunteer to go behind these bars. The catch? To get out, they must raise $1,200 bail to benefit the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
They're asking friends, family, co-workers, vendors for donations to get themselves out of jail. And the money that they raise helps MDA locally with the services that we provide to families who are living daily with muscular dystrophy.
Here in Marlboro, the MDA is hoping to raise $30,000 at Fireflies that will go towards research, support groups, equipment, and even sending kids to summer camps.
So far, $730, but I'm not giving up.
And neither is the MDA. In order to reach their goal, they had to lock up about 40 Marlboro residents. It's Fire Chief Dave Adams' first time in the jailhouse, and like other jailbirds, Middlesex police officers picked him up from work to book him downtown.
This is my first year getting locked up, yes. This is a new aspect of the whole thing that we haven't actually been involved with until this point, but it's interesting.
The fire department does hold fundraisers throughout the year to benefit the MDA, but this lockup is a once-a-year event.
So if we didn't catch anybody that wanted to be a jailbird, we'll be glad to catch them next year.
In Marlboro, Lesley Cannata, WMCT. Until recently, the city's mitigation fund has been in a use-it-or-lose-it situation. But that'll change on Tuesday when the Community Development Authority voted on how to use the money. $30,000 will go towards repairs for a couple of parking garages downtown, another $30,000 on Court Street lighting fixtures, and an additional $20,000 on Weed Street lighting fixtures. If the city had not decided how to use the money by the end of June, funds would have been released into a general fund.
Well, some Marlboro teachers are upset this week after the school committee voted on a 6% increase to next year's budget. They were hoping for a 12% increase that would have brought back a few teaching jobs that were lost back in 2002. The new increase will provide money to hire a human resources director.
Well, that's not the only position they'll be looking to fill. Richer Elementary School is also going to be needing a new principal. That's because Mark O'Coin, who is the current principal of 6 years, is going to be leaving. He made the announcement at Wednesday's school committee meeting. O'Coin has accepted a position as principal at the Davis Hill Elementary School in Holden. Well, we certainly wish him luck. I wonder who they're going to be bringing in next.
Well, I hear from the superintendent that they are forming a committee to conduct interviews.
Well, a lot is also going on in Marlborough High School news. Let's go now to Judd Bornheimer for a look at your sports.
Hello again, Marlboro. Welcome back for another edition of Sports Spotlight. I'm Judd Bornheimer. Well, it was a busy week in Panthers sports this week, with almost every team having multiple games on the schedule. So with that said, let's take a look at this week's scores. Panther baseball started off rough with a 9-5 loss to Algonquin, but followed up with a strong showing against Neshoba, defeating that team 9-1. Lady Panthers softball started off rough with a 4-1 loss to Neshoba, then defeated Quabbin 8-0. Best game of the week, obviously, they defeated Algonquin 17-2. Panther volleyball had a rough week, losing to Wachusett 3-2, then losing to Milford 3-0, and finally losing to Millis 3-1. Boys Panthers tennis had a great week, defeating Burncoat 4-1, then defeating Quabbin 4-1, and finally defeating Neshoba 4-1. Now, volleyball is widely considered one of the most competitive sports in the state of Massachusetts. Now, Marlboro has consistently put out quality teams, and this year is no different, as we found out when we visited the team earlier this week.
We don't have any players who I would say stand out. We play a good solid core of 10 to 12 players. A couple of the big guys, Captain Naveed Sharifi and Nikki Narahara. They've been playing for 4 years, and they play a good, consistent game. Our more spectacular players, the guys with the big hits, the big serves, the big saves, Chris Scanlon, Ednardo Sousa, they're both juniors. We get real good play out of our tallest player, Jamie Nisbet. He plays up front. Right now, he's probably our best hitter. And as I said, 4 or 5 other kids play their roles very well.
This year, I think we're just a really complete team. You know, our passing's been well. We have 2 great middle hitters. Outside hitting's been really consistent lately, so I think that mostly it's just that the way we've been playing has really been helping us out.
I think, well, this year, since last year when we lost 1 player, so we kind of the same team as last year. We've all been together pretty much for 3 or 4 years, so we kind of know how each other play. We're used to each other, and we kind of just grew together overall. So.
Like year after year with the boys' teams as well as the girls' teams, we always wind up with some of the best kids in the school. They listen well, they're smart.
Well, we obviously all grew. When we lost 1 player, we kind of all just close friends. Really, it's just kind of just knowing each other and knowing what the other person's going to do and what to expect.
Yeah, we lost Matt Pacific, who was he was a good player on the team. You know, he played everywhere. He was throughout the whole rotation, front row, back row, so he was a pretty big loss. This season, we're going to have a pretty good record. We'll probably make it pretty deep into the playoffs. You know, we have a good shot. We just have to keep it together, play well, you know?
I think we can go pretty good in the playoffs. Like, I'd love to say we can go to state championships, but obviously that's a big team. We have Millis. We had trouble with them, and we have Milford today. But I think we can go pretty far. Hopefully, a good couple rounds into the playoffs.
Well, each time we play Milford, which is today, April 25th, and each time we play Wachusett, they wind up being the big league games. Those little games usually first place in our league. An awfully exciting game to watch. We have big turnouts for the girls' games in the afternoon. The boys' games are every bit as exciting to watch. Wish we had a little more attendance at the games. I think the people really get a kick out of watching it.
Well, with the playoffs in their sights, it sounds like the Panthers are planning a deep run in the Central Mass Tourney. Another busy week awaits the athletes of MHS. So without further ado, here's a look at the upcoming week's schedule. Panther baseball has 2 games on tap at home against Groton Dunstable on Monday, and away against Westboro on Friday. Lady Panther softball has a busy week, home against Groton Dunstable Monday, away at Wachusett Wednesday, and away at Westboro on Thursday. The tennis teams have mirroring schedules. Boys are home against Westboro, girls away against Westboro. Boys are away against Groton Dunstable, and girls are home against Groton Dunstable. Panther volleyball has 3 games on tap. Monday at 4 o'clock at Burncoat, Wednesday at home against Algonquin at 7, and finally Friday at 5 o'clock at Fitchburg. One other note before we wrap up. This past Monday, tryouts were held at the New England Sports Center right here in Marlboro for the Bruins' new reality show, Be a Bruin. For the 200 that tried out, only 3 will be invited to Bruins training camp and take part in the show. And that will put an end to this week's Spotlight. I'm Judd Bornheimer. Marlboro This Week will be back after this.
Are you looking to expand your workforce? Hi, I'm Governor Mitt Romney. Thousands of employers throughout Massachusetts have used our one-stop career centers to recruit and find new employees. Visit one of our centers to learn that help defray the cost of training new employees. Talk to an employer specialist. One-stop career centers are working for Massachusetts.
For information, call 1-877-US2-JOBS. That's 1-877-US2-JOBS.
A week and a half after the deadly San Francisco earthquake shook the West Coast, Marlboro residents were finally getting word from their family and friends on the West Coast. In one chilling letter, a son wrote to his mother saying, "Oh mother, you don't know how horrible it all is. If we don't get back east, we will surely die of starvation or sickness. Mother, if you could see, you would pity. We have no clothes except for what is on our backs." The city of Marlboro was able to raise thousands of dollars to send to the West Coast for a donation.
Welcome back to Marlboro This Week. Well, Maureen Gould sang her way into the finals, but unfortunately that's where her luck ended. The Marlboro woman was among 15 finalists to compete Thursday night for the coveted honor of performing the national anthem at Fenway Park. 400 New Englanders tried out for this year's 4th annual Next New England. Gould made it into the top 50 and then into the top 15, but then she was beat by Kelly Lennon. Lennon will sing the national anthem at a game in June. Gould says that even though she had her heart set on getting to the top spot this year, it's not going to keep her from trying out next year.
Wow, what an honor to sing at Fenway Park.
I know, it certainly is. We'll have to watch out and see if she does live up to that and try to make another go of it next year.
Well, that about wraps up this edition of Marlboro This Week, but be sure to join us next week when we kick off our segment on animal adoption.
Well, that's right. Starting next week, we're going to start featuring a new pet adoption segment every week. We'll hope you'll tune in. Well, that's it, and my name is Deirdre Andiorio.
I'm Lesley Cannata.
Have a great weekend.